Back to the countdown with Mr. DJ and Lost 45 by Bad English, Forget Me Not, debuting at number 38 on this fancy playlist of July 30th, 1989. A supergroup consisting of Neil Sean, several members from Journey in this band. Neil Sean, I believe I pronounced his last name right, Schon or something like that. Neil Sean, Jonathan Cain, keyboard player of Journey, John Waite. Well, he had a solo career was former member of the Babies. Ricky Phillips, bass player, former member of the Babies, and Dean Castronova, drummer. English Anglo-American classic Anglo-American group. Bad English. First album was self-titled. Forgot the name of their second album. You won't believe. Well, first off, before I get to how they came up with their name, Jonathan Cain, keyboard player, talking about Journey, and Neil Sean. When Journey broke up, these two guys they teamed up with John Waite, and Ricky Phillips and Dean Castronova later joined the band. And you're not gonna believe how they got their name. This is just gonna be one of the coolest stories you've ever heard. Jonathan Cain and John Waite, they were playing pool, or maybe the whole band was playing pool. Well, either way, John Waite missed a shot, and Jonathan Cain said something like, "Man, your English is bad." But he wasn't talking about the way John Waite spoke. English is a phrase, I just found this out. English is a phrase used in pool vernacular, meaning how you put a spin on a cue ball when you shoot it or just before you shoot the cue ball. And the rest of the group members, well, they were like, that's it. That's the name of our band. Bad English. Who would have known? Now, isn't that something? Well, the first single, Forget Me Not, went to number 45 on Billboard's Hot 100. But then came When I See You Smile, and oh my goodness, went to number one. Diane Warren wrote that one. Diane Warren she was a massive songwriter back in the 80s and 90s. Very successful. And then came Price of Love. That came after that. That went to number 3, number 5 on Billboard's Hot 100, written by John Waite, and Jonathan Cain, I believe, wrote that one, Price of Love. But by the time their second album was coming out, the group had broke up because, well, one of the reasons is because Neil Sean and Ricky Phillips, they thought, well, the band's just not, we're coming up with too many of these pop records, like When I See You Smile. We need to rock a little bit more, man. Journey was a rock and roll band. A little bit of a rock edge. And the group disbanded. John Waite, now his perspective was John Waite thinking, man, I love playing these arenas. These arena-sized crowds, the stadiums, man, we're kicking it. Imagine how high you get with all these thousands of people cheering you. It's like having a sugar high 100,000 times over. But John Waite was worried that, Bad English is projecting too much of a corporate rock image. And that's not really rock and roll. So he went on with a solo career after that. And the group disbanded in 1991, 1992. But with John Waite, I always go back to the Babies. I'm flying down the vortex of time, going back to the fall of 1977, listening to the Babies' Isn't It Time being played like you wouldn't believe on AM Top 40 radio stations, along with a growing number of FM Top 40 commercial radio stations. And if I remember correctly, that one went to number 11, Isn't It Time? And then the Babies did Every Time I Think of You, winter of 1979. And back on my feet again in 1980, Ricky Phillips, bass player with the Babies, and John Waite, the lead singer of the Babies. And then John Waite had that massive hit, Missing You, in 1984 as a solo artist. And here he is in Bad English, Forget Me Not, the first single off their debut album, making its debut at number 38. on my fantasy playlist, July 30th, 1989.